Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. We will be starting soon. We're just going to wait a few minutes to give everyone a chance to get in here. All right. Thank you so much for having everyone here today. We're happy to have you here. Today, we are going to cover the EB-2 NIW. We are having a few issues with connection, so we're going to wait just a few more minutes and then we'll be starting soon. Oh, perfect. Everything's working. My name's Attorney Whaley, and today we're going to talk all about the EB-2 NIW, which is the fast track to a green card. And during this presentation, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat because at the end, we'll be sure to go through all of them. And again, thank you so much for attending today. So first, we're just going to talk about a brief overview of the EB-2 NIW. What is it and how do you generally qualify for this category? So the EB-2 NIW is an employment-based green card category. What this means is that this category has a direct route to a green card, and to meet the qualifications, the initial qualifications for this category, you must be an advanced degree professional or have exceptional abilities. And being part of this category is very advantageous because you get to bypass the labor certification process. And I know you're wondering, what is the labor certification process if you're not familiar with it? The labor certification process is a process by which applicants need to be sponsored by an employer. And in this process, they must go through two different processes to get to the green card. First, the employer must go through mandatory regulations and requirements with the Department of Labor. And then after, they're required to now file with USCIS. And this is a complex process that usually takes about 1.5 to 2 years. Now, today we're talking about that EB-2, and with the EB-2 National Interest Waiver, that's what the NIW stands for. Specifically, we're cutting out that Department of Labor part and the need for an employer. So you're really maxing out on time, and you're able to cut and basically get ahead of other applicants who have to go through this labor certification process. So the huge benefit here is you're cutting out the complete Department of Labor, which saves you about 1 year of time, which is why the National Interest Waiver is such a great category to apply for. So how is it different? As I previously said, typically an employer must first go to the Department of Labor. And during this process, they have to submit for a wage. They have to go through recruitment, which is mandatory advertisement. And then you have to apply for that labor certification, which again takes about 1 year. With the EB-2 NIW, you completely bypass this process of needing that employer or that approval, and allows the applicant to directly apply to USCIS for this category within their own right. So the benefits of the EB-2, of course, it's that expedited process. That is one of the biggest benefits to being part of this employment-based green card category. And that is because the only times you're really having to look at, especially if you're applying from abroad, is the processing times for USCIS. And of course, there are extra steps. But as you can see right now, and this is as of February 22nd, the processing times are looking fantastic and extremely advantageous. Right now, it's taking about 5 months at the Nebraska Service Center and 8 months at the Texas Service Center. And where your application goes is completely dependent on where it's coming from. But 5 to 8 months is just very short compared to typical processes in immigration. And I'm sure you guys may have heard of other categories where it takes 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 4 years. In this, with the fast processing times, you can get an answer back in 5 to 8 months is amazing. And with this category, you still have premium processing, which allows you to get an answer in 15 days, which is why I love the EB-2 NIW. Now, the benefits of the EB-2 NIW outside of just expedited process, the biggest one is not having the need for a sponsor or a job offer. A lot of immigrants or people wanting to immigrate to the United States typically deal with the stress of needing a sponsor, needing that employer, asking or feeling comfortable to ask, will my employer want to sponsor me? All of those things can be very daunting and stressful for applicants to have to think about, which is why the EB-2 NIW is a perfect catch-all, because you are applying solely on the basis of your skill and education, which we'll get into soon, but not needing the employer or the job offer and a direct path to a green card is amazing. You're not really going to get that anywhere else outside of one other petitioning category. So qualifying for the EB-2. So there are 2 ways to qualify, and this is just initial qualifications. Please keep in mind that there are other elements that must be satisfied that we will discuss later in this presentation. But first, the initial qualification is to either be an advanced degree professional or have exceptional ability. An advanced degree professional is defined as an individual who has a master's degree or higher. And there are other ways to still qualify under that advanced degree category, which is having a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of qualifying work. And we'll discuss a little more in detail what that looks like and what that entails, but that is the advanced degree category. Now, with exceptional ability, to qualify for exceptional ability, you have to meet 3 of the 6 outlined criteria that USCIS has. So an advanced degree. To satisfy this requirement, like I said, USCIS typically would like to see a master's degree or higher. However, you can have a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of work and still qualify as an advanced degree professional. However, the 5 years must be post-degree work experience. So unfortunately, in a lot of situations, I have potential clients who approach me and they have maybe 3 years prior and 2 years after. In this category, USCIS is very strict on the 5 years post-degree work. And if you have multiple degrees, or multiple bachelor level degrees, what you want to see is that the 5 years of work are specific to the degree that you're applying in or that professional category that you're applying for. And if you do not possess at least a U.S. bachelor's degree or a foreign degree of that equivalent, you are ineligible for this classification if you're trying to fulfill that bachelor's plus 5 years. So a little more into the 5 years for this bachelor's plus 5. For foreign equivalents, USCIS wants to see that you have 1 foreign degree that equals either a bachelor's, if you have that 5 years extra work, or even with that master's, it has to be 1. USCIS will not accept a combination of foreign degrees that equate to a master's or equate to a bachelor's degree. What we really need to see is a direct, this foreign degree is specifically a master's or a bachelor's. Applying with a combination will unfortunately lead you to a denial. Now, for the qualifying work experience, what I'd like to focus on here is what qualifying work entails. So for qualifying work, let's say you have a degree in finance. The years of experience that you want to use for the 5 years of progressive work, they need to be, if not specifically in your field, they must be related, and you have to be able to articulate how it's related if it's not specifically or directly within your field of work. USCIS will issue denials if you have a finance degree and you worked in construction and you did all these different things and there's no element of finance within your experience. It's okay if it's spotty experience combined together that is still within making up 5 years for the category, but what they don't want to see is experience that isn't directly related to the field of work that you're applying to be in. So what is exceptional ability? Exceptional ability is defined as anything above that is ordinarily, encountered. And for USCIS, I don't want you guys to think, oh my gosh, ordinarily encountered, that must be so high. No, it's just fulfilling 3 of the 6 criteria. Now, the first criteria, we have degree relating to that area of expertise. For example, if you have a business degree and you're an entrepreneur, where you do something, I guess, of artistic skill, that doesn't mean that your degree needs to be related, has to be within art. You can have a business degree and still qualify under this category as long as there's some sort of relation. And the best thing about exceptional ability with this degree one is we don't have the level that we have with the advanced degree where it has to be a bachelor's, it has to be a master's or a doctorate. Here, if you have an associate's degree, and it's relating to your area of expertise, you can still qualify here. Next, we have letters from current or former employers showing at least 10 years of experience. If you're going to fulfill this specific one, what they want essentially to see is that there's proof that you did indeed work at these locations and gain this experience. And the best thing about this category, it doesn't have to specifically be from the owner. It can be from managers. It can be from people who worked with you at the time. Anyone who can attest to the fact that you did indeed work for these employers. Next, we have a license to practice. That's pretty straightforward. Next, we have person commanding a higher salary. In this category, if you can show that either you received raises or that are substantially above the typical person in your field, or even if you have a side hustle or a side job where you sell something and people are paying you a specific amount, this is a way to fulfill this specific category, because what USCIS wants to see is that other people are valuing your work at a certain monetary level, and that monetary level is not outlined. They essentially just want to see people are valuing your work to an extent to where they're paying for it. Now we have membership in a professional associations. This category is a very easy one for a lot of people to fulfill. So if you're looking into this category, I would say go ahead and take the time to be part of these professional associations, because a lot of times they have opportunities that will allow you to fulfill some of these other categories because of networking, due to events, so many other ways. So membership in professional associations is an easy way to get one of the criteria for this one. And then lastly, we have recognition and achievements of significant contributions. For this category, the perfect thing is that it isn't so narrow as well in how it's interpreted. You could use in this category, if you were recognized at your job for the work you've done, even if your employer received recognition, if you're able to receive letters or something that shows that you are directly related to your employer achieving this goal or this recognition, you can still qualify for this category for the exceptional ability. And again, for this one, you only have to meet 3, but if you meet more of the criteria, make sure that you're presenting all of it to USCIS, because the more the merrier, definitely, when it comes to this. So now that we're finished with the qualifying criteria, we need to look at the evaluating framework, because this is a 2-part analysis that happens with USCIS. The first thing, again, they're looking at, do they qualify for the category as a whole, which is that advanced degree, And then we have the exceptional ability. Now, after USCIS determines that you've already met this, they're going to look at three different things. First, they will look at substantial merit and national importance. Second is well-positioned, and well-positioned, excuse me, well-positioned simply means that the applicant has the ability to be in the United States and effectively fulfill their goals, their career goals immediately. So you have the capability. And then on balance, that the waiver is beneficial, we have to remember this is a waiver category. There's an EB-2 where you have to go through the labor certification process that I was speaking of, but the National Interest Waiver is waiving that process, which is why it has that term. So what USCIS effectively looks at for this last category is what is the weight? How is it looking? But we'll get into detail about that in a second. Substantial merit and national importance. So substantial merit and national importance is it's something that's normally confused because they go so hand in hand. But with substantial merit, what USCIS is looking to see is that the individual has a specific endeavor that has merit. And merit just means, does the endeavor have purpose? Will it be successful? Will it have an impact? And the good thing is that USCIS outlines very, very clearly in their information and their guidelines that this is not a category where you have to show that you can create revenue. You don't have to show that you can create jobs. Although if you can, it strengthens your petition. That is the truth. However, USCIS just wants to see what is the potential impact of the endeavor that you are that you would like to carry out here in the United States throughout your career. Now, when we shift to national importance, that's where USCIS wants to see it on a broader scale. They want to see what are the broad implications? What are the big picture effects of you being in this role, and how does it affect the United States? The best way I always say to look at this category is that with national importance, we want to say, is there a need in the nation? And can this person fulfill this need nationally? So it's really about what is the need, why is there a need, and how does this applicant fulfill this need on a broad scale? So Schedule A occupations. Schedule A occupations, this is within EB-2 NIW, but what this is specifically is it's a group of occupations where the Department of Labor has decided that there is a need, and that's just it. There's a need. And the good thing about having a Schedule A occupation is that you're not having to show national importance. You're not having to show substantial merit. You're not having to show on balance. The only thing a Schedule A occupation, an individual in a Schedule A occupation has to show is that they are actually able to do it. That well-positioned, that you're actually able to come here and do the job, whether that's by licensing, skill, education. But the Department of Labor has already decided, due to the needs of the United States, that there aren't enough workers in the US market. So that is the huge benefit of being in a Schedule A occupation. So what occupations are within Schedule A? We have physical therapists, professional nurses, immigrants of exceptional ability in STEM, science, and arts, and including colleges, university teachers, and exceptional ability in the performing arts. And I know some of them seem a little big for categories such as exceptional ability in sciences and arts and performing arts, but you can show that through the initial qualification that we are talking about of that exceptional ability. And so long as you fulfill that, you still do not have to show substantial merit, national importance, because again, the Department of Labor has already decided that there is a need that needs to be fulfilled that is currently lacking here in the United States. Well-positioned. So well-positioned, again, is can this person start and do this job here in the United States? Do they have the skill? Do they have the education? And what USCIS considers, there's a list we have on the screen here, but we have education. Do they have a business plan? Sometimes a business plan can really strengthen a case and show, or any type of plan of activities or events that you would like to carry out here in the United States through your education and through your career. If you can show any progress towards achieving a proposed endeavor, one of the perfect examples of this that I have constantly seen with clients is that if you're an entrepreneur and let's say you live abroad or you live here and you have proof that, oh, look at, here's letters of people or emails or texts of people inquiring about my business. Here are the different products I provided. Being able to show USCIS that you've made steps towards achieving your goal or that you've already been successful in a way in this endeavor is a great way to prove that you are well positioned to come here to the United States or adjust to this status to EB-2 NIW and for that green card. Next, again, if you have proof that people are interested in your services, interested in your skills, potential investors, potential job offers, that's a great one to show. Even if you're abroad, if you have contacts in the United States that are offering you opportunities to work with them, that is a perfect way to show and fulfill this category. And lastly, of course, through your degrees, certificates, license, patents, trademarks, copyright, anything you can think of that really has your name on it and shows in a certified way the level of skill you have are great ways to show that you're well positioned to do the job. Now, on balance, this isn't a big category because it implements all of the rest. What USCIS is looking for here is when we weigh what you provided versus the need for a labor certification, how is it shifting? USCIS wants to see the need here and the work the individual does and the skill they have clearly outweighs the need for them to go through this lengthy process to get here. And in this category, USCIS just weighs out the two of them and determines, yes, they can waive and get past the labor certification process, or no, they haven't shown they can do the job they want. There really isn't a need. So you can still come here and get the green card, but you'll have to go through the labor certification process. So with the EB-2 NIW, it is very, very important to have as much evidence as humanly possible to support your petition, because again, it's a balancing act, unfortunately. But the good thing is it's not hard when you have all this experience and you have education and there's a need here in the United States. So I don't want you guys to worry about on balance. That's usually not an issue as long as you can provide strong evidence in the other two categories, as well as very clear ways that you qualify as a master's degree professional or within the category of exceptional ability. And that is the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for attending. I'm going to see, do we have any questions? I'm sorry. So I'm scrolling through the questions to see if there's any that I can answer. Yeah, you have a combo card for VAWA process. Can I go to that is something for the humanitarian side, but if you shoot us an email, we can definitely answer that. I don't see any more questions. So I want to let you guys know, if you want to have a consultation, feel free to book with me at eaganimmigration.com/business business-immigration. And if you use the code EB-2 NIW, it will waive the $200 fee and we'll be able to have a consultation. I can let you know if you qualify for an EB-2 NIW. And if you have any additional questions or you would prefer to just email me directly with your concerns, please feel free to email me at hannah.whaley@eaganimmigration.com. But thank you all so much for attending. It was a pleasure to share this information with you all. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.